evening lighting. Here we are with, check it out, Chris Paine, Luke Marson, Wombling, the famous Wombling.
Good
What's up,
day.
guys?
It's not. Yeah, it's good, but it's not evening over here in Australia. It's a normal time of day,
Yeah,
which is really nice actually for you guys to make the efforts to, you know, let me not wake up at 4 a.m. to have a phone call with you. So thank you for that.
sure, man. Well, I just put on my woolly pajamas and we're good to go. But we're actually here to talk about something that I think we all have a stake in, which is um, success factors in the HANA Cloud platform, what the possibilities are, maybe what the limitations are, why this whole thing matters. And I'm a pretty big fan of platforms, so I'm looking forward to this discussion. Luke, this was sort of your instigation, I believe. What inspired you to want to gather us together?
Well, the HANA Cloud Platform, I think in the SuccessFactors context, is pretty important. And we'll go into a bit more detail about that, I think, in the conversation. So I just really wanted to have a chat about it with yourself and with Chris, because Chris has been pretty active in actually, building these sort of things. He's been on the cusp of doing this ahead of quite a lot of other people. So I just think it's a relevant topic that hasn't got enough exposure yet. And there are a number of reasons why that is that I think we'll touch on. So I wanted to really, get us guys together and try and do that.
Great. So let's have at it, Chris.
So with this whole thing came up, or probably about a year ago. The first time it got really mentioned was when Aaron Au came to Success Connect in Sydney, and he launched this whole idea of building extensions onto SuccessFactors. So it makes a lot of sense. We have a cloud platform, and especially when you're coming from where a lot of us have the on-premise SAP solutions, which are pretty much, you can do anything you want with them. I say to people, if you give me enough money and time, I can make an SAP system make me a cup of coffee. It's that extendable. I can really change however it works. I can make it so that I get a free cup of coffee given to me every time a new person gets hired in the system. Easy. Now, if you're looking at the cloud solutions, that's not necessarily how it works. You have this pretty much a best practice solution, which is pre-delivered, and yes, there are customizations that you can make within that solution. But if I want to put in a whole new process, I use the example with Aaron of, okay, so I'm a city council, and I have parking officers, and this has actually happened here in Melbourne. I have parking officers, and we actually need to change their roster depending upon the temperature that it is within the city. Because if it gets above a certain level, because we get stupidly hot days here in Melbourne and Australia, so it can go over 40 degrees. If it hits those kind of temperatures, you can't have the guys rostered on the street for 6 hours. They're going to fall over and die, and that's not good for your business. So you have put in things. So if I want to say, okay, if the temperature gets above a certain level, notify the managers of the people who are rostered on to work that day, and say, hey, this person's going to need to be put on a different roster. They're going to have to enact their heat temperature plan. And why not make the system do that? Well, that's something which is never going to be provided by a cloud HR system, because there's no way. I mean, in LA at the moment, or wherever you guys are, Virginia or whatever it is, right now the temperature is not going to be. You might have people being taken off the streets because they're getting frostbitten, but it's not going to be the heat. So this kind of solution is not going to ever be built as a global rollout. Build once, roll to many, many, many places. So why SAP SuccessFactors aren't going to build that? But that might be the one little thing that makes the solution work for me as the city council, that I need that functionality. And perhaps I built that functionality in my previous systems. I'll take another example of perhaps mining corporations. So this has happened in Australia. We have a lot of resource companies, And they would do things on their on-premise solutions like integrate their training systems with their gate systems. So unless you had got qualification, you'd passed your training in all the required safety trainings, you couldn't actually get onto the site because the gate system queried the HR system. So had you done all your trainings? No, you can't get on site. You know, you have to go and speak to your manager, and you can get on site once you've done your trainings, that sort of thing. So those kind of extensibility kind of solutions, they're the ones that really make quite a difference to companies, and they're used to being able to build those with their on-premise. And now they're being told, well, perhaps there's this real big advantage, and there is a huge advantage to going into the cloud for their solutions. But those little extensibility things have suddenly become, well, how the hell do we do them? You know, and that's where I think this the HANA Cloud Platform is starting to fill a little gap. And this is where it was introduced. Now we're actually getting on to actually building some of these things. So if I go through what it takes, perhaps, to try and build one of these applications. So, from a very general infrastructure kind of view, you have a SuccessFactors system. Yeah, I really need a whiteboard, John. You're in the right place here. I should be there, and I could be drawing.
Yeah. I don't think I can duplicate this live, folks. Sorry, gonna have to use Chris's hand signals.
So I have a SuccessFactors system, right? Now I want to be able to connect that I want to enhance that. So I want to put in an extra piece of functionality there. So, I'm just getting zoomed out. That's good.
Yeah, that's Google. I don't know why Google's doing that, but anyway.
I think so. I want to connect that to some additional functionality over here in the HANA Cloud Platform. So what do I do? Well, first of all, as a SuccessFactors customer, I need to purchase some space in the HANA Cloud Platform. And that's available through what is called an extension package. So SAP are selling these to SuccessFactors customers. And what it does is that extension, yeah, that's pretty much it. You pay money and you get an extension package. Yeah, that's about
pretty much it, right?
That's about it. And in the what that allows you to do is it gives you a certain amount of resources on the HANA Cloud Platform, but it also gives you some extension options within the HANA Cloud Platform. Now, I think Luke can probably talk to this a little bit better about the whole MDF and what that means and how this is tying together. Luke, do you want to just give a brief intro to what is MDF and how that kind of works?
Sure. I'll try and keep it brief. So the metadata framework, as it's called, is, as it suggests, it's a framework for creating custom objects and custom business rules within the SuccessFactors system. So you can, you can create maybe a new benefits object, as SuccessFactors have done, because they leverage this framework themselves for new functionality in the system, like the new global benefits functionality, like time off, etc. And so this framework also has integration capabilities using OData. So you can do, I think it's much more efficient, much better data access. So reading, writing, making changes, leveraging the permissions model, etc. within the system. And so your HANA Cloud Platform applications, your extensions, can also leverage this platform. So you can get data in and out of SuccessFactors in the HANA Cloud Platform pretty much natively.
Well, I don't know whether I think native is a little bit of a overshot there, but what it does enable is it means the metadata framework, as far as I understand, is the framework on which the entirety of Employee Central has been built. And there are a couple. I think the onboarding has also been built on the MDF.
Onboarding, part of Succession as well.
Yeah.
Including.
So. But what it does is, as Luke said, it provides an API directly. So when the platform has been built using this metadata framework, there is an API to all of the components that have been built using the MDF. Whereas, just a little while ago, before this metadata framework and the associated API came along, the only way to get data in and out of SuccessFactors was by using what they called the SF API, which was another API that they had, a SOAP-based one, rather than an OData-based API. But there were definite limitations. So I had a discussion with a government agency here in Australia who are using recruiting. And they put into their solution, there's a little checkbox on a prerequisite for when they do their interviews, and say, does the person have Australian citizenship? The government organisation, you have to be a citizen to be able to work there. And it's a yes, no. So it's like the prereq. They can't actually get that information out of SuccessFactors. So if they want to pull that information into a third-party database, so they're using their own BW system, for example, and they're trying to extract that information, they couldn't get it. The SF API did not allow them to pull that information out of recruiting, which was, problematic for them, because they want to run reports on their own BW system about how many candidates didn't get through because they weren't Australian citizens. Data's not there. How do we do that? So this is one of the really good things about the MDF, and I believe that all of the modules within SuccessFactors are going to be retrofitted to MDF. Is that right, Luke? I mean,
Yep.
That was my understanding. Is that because it's basically it's the core infrastructure of the solution and has the API attached to it, it means that we can pull that information out. But it's not just about pulling the information out. It's that once you create an MDF object, you actually have then persistence within the SuccessFactors system for that data. Yeah, so I create the MDF object of a new benefit, as Luke said. Then using my HANA Cloud Platform, I could use the APIs, the OData APIs, to create data in SuccessFactors, and then the SuccessFactors solution, using its queries and its analysis tools, can then read that information. And not only that, we can enhance the SuccessFactors screens to show that information. It's just an object in there. If it's a list object, it will appear as a list, and if it's a standard piece of information, then it just appears with the fields, and we can actually maintain that, which is really cool from the extensibility side of the SuccessFactors platform. But what
yes,
the MDF?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
on. What I was going to say is that we've got about a 2-second delay here, John, haven't we?
Yeah, I think that's the 2-second marker. Go ahead, finish your thought, then I'll chime in.
So what I was going to say is that although it's incredibly powerful, that MDF solution, it doesn't allow you to do, incredibly custom things like, I don't know, create a formatted email on, and do a special calculation, bring together multiple, do a drag and drop from one side of the screen to another side of the screen. These kind of things, it is basically a data representation, and there are certain ways that it can be presented on the screen, but it's not going to allow you to build like entirely new functionality in the solution. Would you say that's a fair summary, Luke?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, the MDF does come with a rules engine, which is becoming more and more flexible on release. So you can do a lot of calculations, date-based things, but as Chris rightly pointed out, it's still more, I would say, the functions are more maybe mathematical based. They're more very logic based. If you want to do something much more like Chris, I mean, if you want to generate a document, there's no way the MDF could do something like that. So it does have certain limitations, and that's fine for the purpose that it's provided for. So I'm smiling at the Zoom again.
Yeah. So Those in the audio-only version, you're really missing out on some hot camera angles. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I've been struggling with because MDF and APIs and business rules sound really good to me. In fact, when I hear about SuccessFactors APIs, it sounds way better than what we hear about on-premise. I don't want to pick on SAP's on-premise software, but it sounds way better. Sorry, SAP. But the thing that concerns me a little bit is the extension sets. You guys may be able to put my mind at ease about that, but so why are they needed? And then also, like, I guess I get a little concerned about, the beauty of a cloud platform is not having to maintain as much proprietary stuff, but try to be as open in your standards as possible. So why do we need the extensions?
Well, I think. Go on, Luke.
I was going to say one of the selling points of the cloud, but also one of its biggest setbacks was the fact that it's not customizable. In order to maintain those quarterly releases or however often you have releases, you need to have a certain code base which can't be changed, no matter what you want to do. So I mean, the MDF adds a lot of flexibility into that, but if you want to actually do something custom, you want to code, you want to build something, you can't do that to the SuccessFactors system, and nor do we want people to do that. So extensibility gives you a way of being able to create custom code, custom applications without actually touching the system in any way. It's kind of the best of both worlds in one way.
So what we have is we have a guaranteed API from SAP for their core businesses. So it's not how the system looks and feels. There is an interface that's guaranteed from a programmatic interface that's guaranteed. We can create our own custom objects on top of that and enhance them. But when SAP decide, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to release a new release with some new functionality, then the customer can get that. And it's not like with the on-premise. I'll go back to the on-premise world where we actually have a lot of problems with upgrades because customers have modified their systems so much that they sit there and they have to do 2 months worth of regression testing before they can apply a patch to their system to bring it up to the next level.
There's a fancy analyst word for that, Chris: technical debt. It's the new evil thing that no customer wants.
Exactly. So, but what you try to do is by defining, okay, this is where the delivered software comes to, and you cannot touch it. You can't touch this. This is ours. If you want to put your own objects on top of that, that's fine. If you want to add your own pieces of information to the standard, that's fine. But you're not allowed to. You can turn off the display of this standard field, but you can't delete it from the system. You can't modify its length. It's standard. So there's a very clear line, which I think has been learnt from the whole on-premise debacle and technical debt issues. This is standard, but above this level here, okay, play. And yes, you're right, John, there is a certain level of, well, okay, so the standard system has got a new release. Do I need to review what has happened in my custom space? But because the APIs are guaranteed between the two, there shouldn't be any real problems between them. They should be able to still call the same functionality. It's more like SAP releases functionality which mirrors some of the functionality that I've got in my custom space. Do I want to actually then go back to the SAP standard versus continuing with my custom? Would be the issue.
I'm completely sold on the APIs. I'm just trying to better understand why on top of the APIs you need also these extension sets that have to also be maintained. The APIs in and of themselves are not quite sufficient for certain kinds of new functionality. Is that the deal?
Yeah, basically. But if I want to say that I want to store a little piece of additional information, so the MDF allows me to create that new field in the database, and then I can query it with the SuccessFactors tools. The standard query SuccessFactors queries can now query that piece of information. If I link it to an employee, it becomes the employee's name in Japanese. I don't know, it probably exists as a standard field already, but if I wanted to add that, I could link it to the employee, and then when I do a query against the employee, I can see that information. What happens with is more in the that's just talking about the MDF. When we start going on to the HANA Cloud Platform, it's for the real functionality enhancements. So this is as Luke said, I want to be able to generate an email with a formatted text and so on, and send it out, which is pulling information from all these different areas. I want to be able to have a screen which has got information coming from system A, and my SuccessFactors information here, and I want to be able to drag this information from here to here, and then that's updating the SuccessFactors system with the stuff that I've dragged, because I'm going to choose which bits I want to move. Those kind of changes, that's not possible to just almost say, oh, hey, I want to do that. I have to build that externally and then put it in Sync. Now, we could do this. We could already do this a long time ago. I could build an external application, and then I could have it talk, and and a lot of the problems in the past are basically the interfaces between external applications and my other, so it'd be my SAP, my SuccessFactors, whatever. I have this external application and I have SuccessFactors, and I'm going to get them to talk together. Fine. But from the user point of view, that's an external application. This is SuccessFactors. Okay, perhaps they share some data, but they're clearly two things. What the extension packs are allowing us to do is to take that external application, host it on the HANA Cloud Platform, and make it to the end user so it's seamlessly inside SuccessFactors. Now, I'll take the example of the one that we showed off at TechEd last year, was the timesheeting application that we built internally at Discovery. So we have this very simple timesheeting thing, so we just want to record the hours that we're working for different clients. And I don't like filling in spreadsheets, so it's much nicer if we have a little mobile app to do that. So we built this little mobile app. I think Dennis took a video of us showing this about a year or so ago, when it was still called the NetWeaver Cloud. And we take that, and so an employee can see within SuccessFactors, they have a little the drop-down menu, and at the bottom it says timesheets. They click on that, it opens up within SuccessFactors their timesheeting application, and then they can see that. But it's inside of SuccessFactors. The URL at the top of the bar does actually change, and they suddenly are actually within the HANA Cloud portal, but the HANA Cloud portal has been themed so that the user looks like they're inside of SuccessFactors. They've got SSO between SuccessFactors and the HANA Cloud platform and portal, which runs on the platform. So as far as the end user's concerned, they're still completely within SuccessFactors. They haven't done anything to change. They logged into SuccessFactors. They chose the menu from the SuccessFactors menu, and hey, it's there all of a sudden.
Chris, I think you hit on a really important point about the user experience, which is becoming, as you know, especially in the HCM space, a defining factor in how customers choose to buy their software. But I think there's also the method you described of maintaining interfaces is another form of technical debt that companies can't stand anymore, which is you build these interfaces, but then you have to constantly maintain them. So seems like this would address both those issues pretty nicely.
Look, I certainly think it does help with that. Mm-hmm. Like the API being guaranteed, we're building on an SAP platform. And there are other benefits as well to the HANA Cloud platform in that you can do things like use the what they call the SAP HANA connector, which can connect to your on-premise system from the HANA Cloud platform onto your on-premise, and basically provides a secure pipe between your on-premise solutions and the HANA Cloud Platform. So, and that way I can pull data from my my ERP and anything else actually that's inside of my on-premise environment, and pull that through onto the HANA Cloud Platform. So the HANA Cloud Platform can access those things, but nobody else in the internet can.
Right. You're doing some really
that security.
You're doing some really interesting stuff too with a HANA startup. I want to get to that, but let's take a brief intermission from that. Luke, I want to ask you. You've been heavily involved in SuccessFactors consulting of late, I know, with your plan for U.S. domination, which is underway. So I just wanted to ask you about customers, because as kind of a platform evangelist of sorts, like I sometimes find that customers aren't quite there yet with what a platform is, or in the case of SuccessFactors, they may not know what's available, or maybe there's not quite enough apps yet. Like, what are you seeing from customers in terms of their interest in this, and then what is it going to take to drive adoption and things like that?
Well, at the moment, I'm not really seeing too much exposure to customers. I'm not sure the concept of a platform to customers, particularly SAP HCM customers. It's not a concept that I think that they're really used to. They're normally used to doing, as Chris mentioned, extending the system, bastardizing the system, whatever they're doing, user exits, baddies within the system. So they're not really used to having this kind of external platform and creating applications outside of the system. So I think it's still something that customers need to get educated on and try to understand what it is. And I think one of the problems with trying to get the concept across to customers is the fact that there are very few good use cases at the moment. Chris has mentioned a couple of interesting ones that he's been working on, but over here in the States, we don't really seem to have anything that SAP can show to customers. They have an NBA sports app and they have this networking lunch, but nothing that actually a customer can look at and say, oh yeah, that's the value of the platform. That's what we can do. It's all a lot of theory still at the moment to some customers in trying to actually really understand what the power is and what the benefit is of this platform.
And I think there's a point there that probably it should be made, that there's a flip between a customer can enhance their solution to do something which is special for them. But what this extension solution is also allowing is for partners to develop a solution which can be sold to multiple customers. So using this as a market, so there is a marketplace within SuccessFactors solution where a customer can go, okay, based on the things that I have within my solution, so if I'm running recruitment or I'm running Employee Central, whatever it is, I can use these extensions, and I pick up those extensions and I can click on them and I can try them out, and that's a build once, sell many kind of experience for the partner. Really interesting for me as a partner building these kind of things, and the SAPs taking the edge and putting that directly inside of my potential customer's view inside this extension marketplace, and that, I think, as to go with what Luke was saying, if we can build that out so that there are a couple of compelling applications that are available to all customers within that marketplace, then it will make customers start thinking about those, the heat wave issue, ones which are particular to their particular business and not anyone else in the world. And perhaps we could purchase, as a customer, do our own development to enhance the solution versus, buy the one solution which is being used across multiple companies.
Okay, so Luke, about the partner adoption piece, then it totally makes sense to me that partners would drive adoption by building apps. So why isn't that happening yet? Is it lack of awareness? Are there obstacles technically? Is it just difficulty with getting certified to do this? Like what are the obstacles?
Well, I think there are a couple of obstacles getting in the way. I mean, having that deep technical expertise in SuccessFactors is one of the challenges within the SAP HCM space. I think another one, and Chris might be able to comment on this, is most of the applications and programming that's being done has been done typically in ABAP before. So you're now moving to doing things in maybe Java or some of the other languages that the platform supports. So it's having that skill set internally as well. I mean, the cost, depending on the size of your firm, it may be prohibitive, maybe not. You know, there's definitely a cost involved in a yearly cost involved in actually being able to get that part of the HANA platform to be able to develop applications. And I understand that then to actually get your application certified and get it up onto the marketplace has an additional cost. I don't know whether Chris can comment on that.
Yeah, so I mean, to actually build an application, you need to be a HANA Cloud extension partner.
Hey Chris, I want to interrupt you for just one sec. Hey
Sorry,
Luke,
mate.
can you try rebooting your webcam, Luke? Because it seems like you might have frozen up.
Okay.
Anyway, continue, Chris.
We can't see your beautiful face anymore, Luke. It's terrible.
Yeah, although I will say that it's a great look from a dental perspective. Your teeth look very healthy. But anyhow.
Am I back?
Not just yet. We still have your face. Let's check in on you in a sec. And Chris, go ahead.
So when you look at it from a building perspective, as a partner, I need to sign up as a HANA Cloud extension partner, which involves me getting hold of a SuccessFactors system with the extensions enabled, and a HANA Cloud platform account, which I can then develop on. That has a certain cost associated with it each year. As Luke said, once I've actually built an application, if I'm using it just for one customer, there's no need for any certification of it at all. But if I want to then go and sell it on the marketplace, the HANA Cloud platform or the SuccessFactors extension marketplace, that needs to be certified, and that takes, and it's not a huge amount. You know, it's around I think the €900 mark, but you know, at that mark, you want to have a customer before you're going to start paying it. You know, so it's a lot more expensive than say getting your app vetted for the Apple Store, you know, the App Store, which is the kind of equivalent to what we're doing. So yeah, we've shifted up a notch on the cost. So I think it's coming up next week. There is a partner enablement session being held in Palo Alto, I think on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of March, which is actually taking partners through what it actually will be to build one of these applications and taking them through the life cycle. Like, there's a lot of information up there. You can get a trial account where you can see what it looks to have an extension built. Basically, you get a read-only instance of a SuccessFactors system that you can log into, and you can connect to it from your trial HANA Cloud platform, which is, yes, you can't write to it, but you can still pull information from it, which is kind of cool. You can explore the APIs. There are on GitHub, there are HANA Cloud Platform extension applications which are available for download. So you can actually see, how one of these works, how you as potentially could build one. Not that I've actually used that as a basis for the stuff that I've built. But there's a reasonable amount out there for people to get started with it. But as Luke said, there's, from being an SAP ABAP developer to going, now I understand SuccessFactors, and now I understand how to build on the HANA Cloud Platform. It's a reasonable jump for people to make.
Yeah, it sounds more like something for partners than individual developers, to be honest with you, at the moment, in terms of building those kinds of apps. Luke, I still don't think we have your cam, but as long as we have your audio, I think I'm happy with... People got a good look at you earlier, so... Are you still there?
Probably enough to look at me, yeah.
So Luke, let me ask you. You also made a point in the email leading up to our taping. For our listeners, I'll publish the email thread later so you can enjoy it. At about 30 emails. But you were talking about why that partners need access to the Employee Central roadmap in order to effectively develop apps. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, when I originally started looking at building apps internally last year, we looked at a lot of the use cases and gaps that we've come across in SAP HCM with customers in the past that haven't really been addressed. And well, we came up with a list of 5 or 6 applications we wanted to look at building. And you know, within kind of 3-4 months, we'd found, well, 3 of them have suddenly appeared on the roadmap. Now, we hadn't told SuccessFactors, quite rightly, because we found these to be major gaps. They thought they'd obviously, you know, seen the same thing and put them on the roadmap. So we'd looked at managing contractors, because that's a particular weak spot, and there's, you know, hundreds of ways I've seen customers handle it, and none of them are suitable. So I thought, well, this is a gap that we need to look at. You know, and luckily now contingency workforce is on the roadmap this year. So, and with that roadmap evolving constantly, I think, you know, if customers, well, if customers and partners don't have much of an access to that, then it can become difficult to know whether the money and the time you're investing in building an application is suddenly going to become a standard functionality in 6 months' time, and that doesn't give. With some of the costs already, it doesn't give much of an incentive for either customers or partners to produce these applications.
Yeah, I think you're right, Luke. There's, you know, if there's a really big gap, then SAP are going to hit it already, and they'll build that out. I mean, where I'm thinking of concentrating at the moment are areas where we've got an application which leverages something which SAP can't get at, or there are country-specific applications, because I think those are less likely to be built out by SAP than, you know, more global things like contract management and so on.
Yeah, I think some of the vertical spaces are where partners can add value as well, because as you just mentioned, I think some of the key areas that SuccessFactors is going to look at in terms of adding functionality to Employee Central are going to be in some of the global functionalities, global benefits, extending global assignments, contractor management, contingency workforce, all those kind of things that are hopefully going to come up. I don't want to commit on behalf of SuccessFactors, but things that are going to come up. So, I mean, if, you know, where some... Well, looking at our firm, we've got quite a strength in healthcare. We've done a lot of stuff in retail. Those are the sort of verticals where someone like us, for example, could add value in this space. And as like Chris said, doing local specific, like the application for the parking attendants. I mean, those are the sort of areas where SAP are not going to move into, and where partners can really add some value. And I think customers themselves. You know, we've all seen customers come up with some of the craziest things, but sometimes it's that kind of innovation which is going to produce something unique, I think, and maybe something that customers can then go and sell on to other customers through the marketplace to recoup some of their, you know, costs. I can see.
There's an interesting thought. I think there's an interesting thought. You know, customers, you know, suddenly. Producing apps which are of quality to push on to other customers, and that aren't actually giving a business benefit that they don't want to give away. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, you do see that, you know, there is a competitive advantage sometimes, but sometimes people are just writing applications that cover quite common business challenges that maybe aren't covered in the way that the software does. I mean, I've known customers who have sold ABAP programs to other customers. It's probably not so widespread, but I'm sure there are going to be some out there that see a way of recouping a cost without losing an advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's
an interesting point.
That's an interesting point you say about the competitive advantage, because with these cloud solutions taking the leading edge, is there any competitive advantage anymore? I mean, if you and your competitor are both running SuccessFactors, do you have any competitive advantage in your HR system and processes over your competitor?
Well, I mean, this is a
Probably.
conversation which we could do a whole nother session on. I mean, I think the competitive advantage often for me these days is not really within your system. It's how you use it. It's your culture. It's the way that you run your business which gives you the competitive advantage. Employee engagement's quite a big thing, and what you do to garner that. It's going to give you more advantage than maybe how you manage contractors in your HR system.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there is the possibility with an extension kind of thing to actually build something which might be your competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You guys have hit on a lot of good points. I think the point about not pursuing generic, broad functionality, but looking at industry verticals where you have expertise or geographic expertise makes a ton of sense. Having said that, I would still, if I were a partner to embark upon that, I would still want to have a conversation with SAP SuccessFactors about their roadmap and what my plans are, and have an honest back and forth about that. Do you guys agree? I mean, shouldn't there be that kind of transparency? And do you find that at this point?
Well, so I am pretty. The SAP have been really helpful to me in providing resources and understanding about building these partner applications, but when you talk to them about so what's coming in the next, it's a 3-month cycle, and with an outlook on what's going to happen in the 6 months after that. That there might be some really long-term views, but they're locked up in someone's office that I've never seen. Any kind of outlook that I've got is probably maximum a 6-month ahead view of where things are. I don't know if you've got any more deeper insights than that, Luke.
Yes, I've seen the 2014 roadmap and some high-level 2015, and I think this was part of one of the Cloud Core HR webcasts that were done for SuccessFactors partners. Which is available on the LMS as well, if any partners want to go and have a look at that. So I mean that's one of the things which I think has changed in the Employee Central space since Thomas Otter came on board. Him and Joachim have been working on producing that and making it a bit more public. If you go back 6 or 9 months, really you couldn't get any kind of roadmap more than we might do these 4 things in the next year. Or we're going to do these couple of countries for Employee Central Payroll, but there wasn't really too much detail. So now there's a lot more for Employee Central. It's still quite high level, but I think it's still at the level enough that it can give you an indication of what's coming up. But how many customers are actually aware of that? They know that roadmap is there. They know that as a partner they can get access to it. Is yet to be seen. I mean, it's a very different world trying to keep up with quarterly releases and the constant change in the SuccessFactors world than it was with an enhancement package every 18 months, like it was with or is with SAP HCM. And that's a cultural challenge. Some of the SAP HCM companies, some of the SIs, should I say, need to try and keep up with.
Well, I think you also made a point there. You've mentioned Employee Central multiple times, Luke, and it is probably worth pointing out that the extensions are mainly based around Employee Central at the moment, rather than being based around any of the other areas. And I think that yes, you're right, that Employee Central has taken a little bit of leadership in that, putting a longer-term roadmap together, but I'm not sure I still see it in the other spaces.
Yeah.
But that said, the guys in those other spaces have been very open and honest, and you ask them a question, and I haven't had people, say to me, well, I can't tell you that. It's more of, I don't know.
Well, I think we are about 3/4 of the way through this long-form, old-school taping session. Chris, I don't want to miss out on hearing about your latest collaborations, because you were telling me that a startup that I'm filming, hopefully, in a few weeks in Orlando at the Insider HANA show is actually a partner of yours. Tell us more about this HANA startup, and you're working with them on an app.
Yeah. So we've got this. I was at TechEd when this guy came up to me and said, "Are you Chris Paine? I need to talk to you. We've got this great idea, and I need to talk to you. People say I've got to talk to you." So I was like, "Okay, all right, crazy man's approaching me. I'll give him some of my time." And we started talking, and so it's James is his name. He's one of the HANA startup group, and he's built this application which does social discovery. So the kind of thing where you say, these people are like you. So if you go into Twitter, something which we all use, I know, and it suggests that these are some people that you might want to follow. And it comes up with an algorithm on, why you should follow these people on Twitter, because they follow the same things that you follow and the people and so on. But he's done this with LinkedIn, and we're going to introduce in SuccessFactors and SAP Jam information into the mix as well. So you'll be able to use that to do social discovery of people within your company. Now, it may seem like obvious to some people. Hey, this person within my company, we all work within the HR department, so I know everyone in HR. But it's quite often, and Luke, the experience is that actually HR is spread out all over the freaking globe, and you might not know that that person over there works in HR. And so this tool is going to help you connect with those people. It also do things like, okay, so people put in an awful lot of information into their LinkedIn profile because they want to get hired somewhere else. They don't necessarily work at this company, but they've got all of these things that they've been endorsed. Donkey cart riding. You haven't got that in your your on-premise solution or your SuccessFactors talent management. That this person is a great donkey cart rider, but it is on their LinkedIn profile.
Probably not. That's fair.
So I want to find who in my company knows how to drive donkey carts. Well, I can actually then leverage the power that I've got that information. And so they're building this all on HANA. It's some incredibly clever match-up algorithms, and they can spew out all these recommendations. But I can take also my endorsements that I've got on LinkedIn. These are my skills, and I can bring those into SuccessFactors as well. And flow that information in a nice match-up way. So we're working with James and Enterprise Jungle crew, and we're hoping to develop a application which we should be showcasting, hopefully with a live customer at Sapphire later this year. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We're in the realms of development at the moment, and customer proof to come soon. So, but it's going to be a pretty exciting opportunity, and I think a nice proof of what the extension platform can offer to customers.
A live customer by Sapphire should keep you on your toes, I would say.
Yeah, that's. I think customers really make you, put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
Make sure things are working rather than just being full of BS.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to be at Sapphire, so I'll be looking for that. I'll be profoundly disappointed if it doesn't happen.
You won't be the only one.
Hey, I'd like to talk a little bit about the HCP press conference today, but before we wrap on that, Luke, this was your vision, your master stroke to get us together. So, did we miss anything you want to talk about?
Well, I think we've covered quite a lot today. So no, I think we've had quite a good conversation so far. I'd like to see more of what Chris is doing over the coming months, and hopefully we'll get some of the stuff we're doing out as well, along with some of the other partners as well. I think that's for me where the real proof is going to be on how this platform works and what value it's going to bring.
So Luke, are you allowed to say that you're actually working on something too, or would we have to sign an NDA before you disclose anything?
I could probably say we're not anywhere near as far ahead as Chris is. We have built applications that work with SuccessFactors in the past to fill gaps in the system, which are finally actually getting filled by standard. So we're looking to build some stuff more specific to Employee Central using that. So I mean, we have actually got more of the skill set required to build extensions than maybe some of the other partners have. So yeah, I'm hoping we're going to have something out. Sapphire's probably pushing it a bit, but definitely we'll be aiming to have something by TechEd.
Decode.
Decode, yes, of course. It's changed names.
R.I.P. TechEd.
Right, so if you don't have something for Sapphire, Luke, I won't be profoundly disappointed. I'll just be mildly disappointed. Decode is your deadline, man.
There it is.
Fair enough. So let's just talk briefly about the HANA Cloud Platform press announcement today, which was virtually broadcast. It was Vishal and Jonathan Becker doing their two-man stand-up routine, which I actually kind of find a little bit refreshing compared to some of the stilted formats we've seen in the past. But anyhow, obviously the HANA Cloud Platform is a broader story, and SuccessFactors deserve some credit for pushing the envelope with some of the development. But when you step back and look at the broader message, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's been a bit of a simplification for users here. So hopefully we haven't renamed the platform again, because we've been going through some name changes and people trying to understand, well, what does the SAP HANA Cloud Platform actually mean? Was it just that Java platform as a service, or is it more? And it is now being clarified to customers that that's a little bit more. So we've got the the IaaS, the the HANA database stuff, and then also the platform as a service component as well. And it's been really simplified in terms of this is the cost for a chunk of functionality, and not just this tiny little chunk of functionality, but it's all been bundled up into a larger chunk of functionality, which I think will make it a lot easier for customers to understand what is the options. But on the other hand, I'm a little concerned that perhaps some of the flexibility that was there in the past about only taking a tiny little chunk of it may have been removed. I'm yet to clarify whether that is the case, whether these new prices that have been released are the only ways that you can purchase into the HANA Cloud Platform for development. I mean, obviously I say obviously. I mean, I hope that the way that you can purchase a SuccessFactors extension package hasn't been impacted by this. As far as I know, it hasn't. But certainly, as a developer, if I wanted previously to develop on the HANA Cloud Platform, I had a lot more leeway in choosing which bits I wanted. It seems to be a little bit more prescribed and packaged now.
I am shocked that you have a lingering question about pricing after an SAP announcement. That's unheard of. Luke, I know you were also tracking this. Any thoughts?
Well, it did seem that a few of the barriers towards some of the um, partner adoption did seem to go down. There's a lot of excitement around the ecosystem afterwards. Um, I think Chris makes some good points now that the dust is settling a bit over that. Um, Actually, one of the biggest things from my perspective that maybe kind of overshadowed some of the parts was the fact that they did announce that they will have the SuccessFactors suite running on HANA by Sapphire in June. Now, I know it's been in beta testing for a while, so that's quite big. That's quite big and quite exciting news, and I'm probably digressing slightly from this topic. But the one thing is that that's another use of the phrase HANA, and I think that everything seems to be called HANA, and HANA seems to be everything.
Well, it's interesting. You look at on the HANA Cloud Platform and the options there, and previously there was the option you could use a MaxDB database or a HANA database, and you got charged differently. And I can't see the MaxDB database option anymore. I don't know whether that's completely gone or if it was just that, as you said, the HANA is being emphasized. But it's not on. You go to the HANA Cloud Platform PaaS thing, and it's not one of the selectable options to change how much you're paying. This is interesting.
As someone who believes in the platform message, and also I believe a lot in the startups, because the startups are very similar to the conversation we've had about extensions, right? Because it's companies that are often with industry expertise that are building very interesting stuff with HANA that sort of reimagines enterprise applications. So I really enjoy those stories, and I think it will be interesting to see. I'm encouraged by the dedication of an event like today, but when you go to Sapphire, for example, will this conversation continue and be built upon? Will these questions kind of get answered? Because sometimes at the big events, it ends up being kind of a big company focus, and understandably, SAP is looking to sell a lot of Business Suite on HANA, and so that ends up taking a little bit of center stage. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how these themes get followed up. And
wow. Like if SAP wants to build out that marketplace, to build the apps so that it is, they can go to a customer and say, look at this huge marketplace that our partners have built applications for, then those entry conditions for partners need to be as low as possible.
Right.
Because the innovative, I am part of a small company, hey, so I'm going to push this angle. So, beware prejudices being applied. But the innovative companies are quite often the small ones. That's why they're there. They've got the new ideas. They take the risk on those ideas. And if it's the same entry, for someone like an Accenture as it is for someone like my company, then that's might be just in the pond for an Accenture, but that's probably a lot bigger. We've got to make a business case for this money. There you go, SAP, for us.
But Chris, hasn't SAP made some progress on that through the Partner Edge program, kind of lowering the barriers a little bit? Sigh. I'll take that as a no.
Like, I've been very fortunate with the people that I've been dealing with, because they're all people who want to get this platform and these extensions working, and they've been incredibly helpful to me in getting that working. Yet if I were to turn around and speak to my country Partner Edge manager, they wouldn't have the faintest clue what I'm talking about. And in fact, there have been multiple sessions where I've been briefing SAP teams here about what is the SuccessFactors extensions and how they put together. So whilst, yes, the partner enablement has been pretty darn good, it's all been done from overseas at the moment. It's not on my local turf. So if I had, I think there could be a little bit more done there. Yeah. And it's it's an education thing. So okay, the whole extension stuff has only been around about 6 months. Now that's not a hell of a long time in SAP terms. from what we're used to. But then again, during that time, there have been 2 new releases of SuccessFactors, and that's a new thing that SAP is also not used to. The world's turning a little bit faster with cloud than it has in the past with the on-premise.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment, then I'll turn it over to Luke and we'll wrap. But I think my final comment on that is I really liked I don't know if you guys checked out the revamped marketplace look, which they've been working on for a while, but I really like the ease of consumption they were laying out. As you said, Chris, that might end up messing up some of the customizable aspects, but I liked how it was laid out. Looked like something that was a pretty user-friendly marketplace, which SAP has struggled with in the past. But when I look at the message, I divided in terms of partners, customers, and individual developers, and I think partners, I think can understand and embrace this message better, but with customers, I still think there's a lot of confusion around HANA as database versus HANA as platform, and I don't think a press conference like today solves that problem. It's just one more step in the road towards addressing it. And with the individual developers, I think it's pretty obvious from our conversation today that if a small partner like yours with resources struggles to ramp up, I think it makes it more difficult still for the individual developer, and I think SAP does need to solve that, and that as long as SAP understands that's not solved yet, I'm okay. Now, admittedly, I think there's ways of getting involved as an individual developer that are easier than SuccessFactors extensions, but still, it's an issue.
Yeah, I think given that you pretty much have to be a partner to be able to get access to SuccessFactors systems, yeah, as an individual, you just can't do it.
Yeah. So, Luke, any final thoughts? We should probably wrap. We're heading on the hour mark. I think even the diehards are ready to take a break from us.
Yeah, I think it's quite an exciting time. It's more positive disruption in the ecosystem and in the marketplace. But I do believe that SAP's messaging needs to be clearer, and I'm not sure how that's going to be achieved as long as they want HANA to be the be-all and end-all. They want it to be the everything, the all-encompassing. And while it has the capabilities and the potential to do that, it just becomes confusing on the ground. People like Chris and I and you might understand it, but there are even people in the ecosystem that don't fully understand what HANA is. And there is confusion around, is it a database? Is it analytics? Oh, what's this platform and this portal? Having that word HANA ubiquitously just doesn't really help in the adoption of the concept. And without having too many use cases at the moment, that's probably not going to change for probably another 6 to 9 months, I would expect.
Fair enough. Well, I think that gives SAP a few things to think about before Sapphire, so always time to fine-tune. Guys, thanks for this global participation. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Good times. I'm sure we'll do it again under other circumstances later on. Look forward to seeing you on the conference circuit. Have a good day or evening or morning, depending on where you are.